Welcome to your magical moon message. This is the Peace Dealer. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is definitely a moon transit that is one, happening, two, very magical, and three, the true activation of the evolution of your power. Or let's say the activation of the evolution of your true power. Okay. True Moon in Gemini, power Aries. This is the final stage of the activation portion of this lunar cycle. So, activation is the new moon conjunction that simulates the Aries signature, which, whenever you see a conjunction in a transit, it is initiating a new cycle. Things are starting to get to motion. This is very important if you want to, through the transits, track, not only what's beginning, but actions you can sync knowing that this is happening. So, relative to this, given the threefold phase of each phase, right? We had the new moon activation, the moon in Taurus, which now manifested this activation, and now the moon in Gemini that's helping us understand the attitude and approach. So, given that this is the perception, mutable magic sign of Gemini, we have activated the cardinal direction we're moving into, and the moon in Gemini is an initial understanding of what direction we want to think in. So this is what will subtly begin as you activate this true power to understand the thought process of, oh, this is the direction I'm moving in. This is right before the first quarter square where the seeds we planted in the new moon break through the ground. So this threefold activation process is very important. I like to focus a lot on activation and integration because after the full moon, you're really just harvesting the crops. You're reviewing, coming into the third quarter square, what you worked on. So this is where you want to put in a lot of work. You've already understood the value of your identity and the quality of your power. And now you're understanding not only the truth of it, what it's called, its name, how to begin to think about it before the moon in Virgo, where you master it, how to actually function and integrate these thoughts you're thinking now into a behavior, into your routine. This is all really dope shit because relative to the outer planets, this is what's supercharging the hyper accelerated nature of this activation. Let's go back. You are activating true power. Okay. For some of you, this may hit for the first time because the utilization of this power may have been unconscious, or it may have been something that you didn't understand what to think about it until now. And so you want to really, really embrace this. The square that the moon initially makes to Saturn and Pisces challenges your beliefs in light of understanding new truth relative to a new moon regarded your identity so that you can transcend your beliefs about who you are. Here's an example. You may have felt like in a human form, you can only walk a certain mile per hour. You can't necessarily outpace a car. But now you're understanding today, whoa, I can harness my life force in a sense that through activation of my latent power, I can enhance my bodily function. And now, whether I believe it in or not, I'm actively experiencing myself not running faster than a car, but running a lot faster than I thought I could. This is challenging what I previously believed, backed by a collective narrative which can deter your conscious growth if you care too much about dumb motherfuckers who don't know shit and what they believe versus the truth you're understanding about yourself. Then it's trining Pluto in Aquarius, which is taking this awakening of cosmic knowledge and beaming this understanding of how you personally understand it related to you. It's a fancy way of saying that you're channeling supernatural energy in a mental way so that it's no longer just physical. You're taking these intellectual concepts and actively making sense of them. But given a deeper nuance of that Pluto trine alone, which will also help you understand the truth of this revolution that's brewing entirely through you, the actual sextile that the moon in Gemini is making to Chiron and Jupiter and Mercury, which rules Gemini, is also helping you understand the process of evolution that is activating this power. In that, the new moon that we had in Aries with Jupiter and Chiron push started the button. We could even say at this point, this is where the activation of the card turns into you shifting the gear. So the activation process of this is the process of turning your vehicle and body on, and then the integration from moon in Cancer to moon in Virgo next week is you actually post putting the car in gear, integrating the activation of this vehicle by driving it. But which now the driving would probably be the moon in Cancer, the next cardinal function with Mars the accelerator. But let's focus on this moon in Gemini, which is going to begin the process of teaching you, third house axis of learning, how to shift states so that you can harness different gears of power. Whatever states you learn are what you're going to master practically through Virgo after strengthening in Leo. But it's important to keep into account relative to the new moon in Aries. The third house now is opening the door towards greater exploration of this evolution by understanding what the fuck it's called, what it is, and what to think about it. I'm biased because I actually have my son in Gemini, or was born with it. It's in Cancer now, progressed. But I really find air transits like this very exciting because it brings an intellectual understanding to a lot of complex and powerful, aspects of what your body and spirit are going through, that now through your own personal language and the way you say things, you're going to be able to make sense of this. That Pluto trine to Aquarius, for example, is like everyone receiving knowledge, but you have a different dialect. Someone else in a different country is going to use different words to explain the same knowledge. So it's an intangible, invisible frequency that people are awakening to. And it's not going to be until Pluto is like farther into Aquarius that these things will be more noticeable, unless you're a genius like that and you just know. Shout out to Aquarians and Uranian dominance. Speaking of Uranus, which is now semi-sextile to this moon Gemini energy, will transcend the intellectualization of this by your ability to process and integrate unconsciously supernatural qualities of your body. And now, relative to the thought process that you will be understanding with the moon in Gemini, this will enhance and manifest clairsenses, clairvoyance, clairgustiance, a lot of them clairs, and also unique supernatural aspects inducing causality between what you feel in your body and what happens in your reality, and you deciding and defining what that is. Because after you now clear this mental space, we work on our emotions, contemplating with moon in Cancer, squaring Aries, and we're now moving forward into a new cardinal, fixed, mutable state of integration. The integration of this power activation is what's going to bring real practicality to mastering new power, which means it is this moon in Gemini transit that will finish off the activation of this power by you actually experiencing what it is and what it's like. So if you didn't feel what this power was the first part of this last week, that's like trying to feel a plant before it's grown through the ground. Now it's happening, especially post sextile to Jupiter, where you literally feel the expansion, kind of like jumping off a trampoline. And for those of you who are with the shits, This is where your training truly begins on how to fly. This Aries season is going to prepare you for Taurus season, where you strengthen the energy capacity for you to harness energy. And so from Moon in Gemini to Moon in Sagittarius, you are initializing learning before you ascend that learning. 2 week span, which means you're learning how to fly now. And flying could be an analogy for any other skill. You're learning how to fly now. You are mastering flight in a week. And in 2 weeks, you've ascended flight by being able to do it at will. Take that for what you will. If that's too extreme for you to accept that that's even possible, you still have a lot of work to do on your beliefs. And that's what Saturn and Pisces will rigorously do, to challenge every belief you've ever had in light of an emerging awakening that is, through this revolution, evolving humanity to its next step. I sound like fucking Professor X. This is fucking retarded. But other than that, I hope you do embrace this. There's nothing you really have to do but to listen to your own inner thoughts, because you have the answers inside you, and you're going to be guiding yourself through these realizations. The words you see, synchronicities will be popping as they usually do, but most definitely now. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this report. As now Pluto in Aquarius eases and awakens the telepathic channels that exist collectively, because you are not separate from pretty much anyone or anything else. This is going to open up a new stage of telepathic wars, where you're more receptive to thoughts as everyone else in the collective is, and be as petty as possible. You really don't have to put these vague niceties and social expectations. If you are dealing with energies that are invading the sacred space of your mind and trying to manipulate or influence you with frequency thoughts, blam on them, blast on them, clap back on them, curse them out, curse them, hex them, do whatever it is you want. You're not going to get this fake, vague love and light message to me before all of these things get regulated, which they will by the time Saturn is in Leo. So we have social regulation. It's a free man's land. And so don't let yourself get played out here in these spiritual streets. You stay blessed as always. Godspeed. Gemini's up, Aries down. Peace.